Howdy, world. Welcome to the RC Air Experience podcast. We are on episode 37, and we've got a great guest today, Tim from Ready Made RC, RMRC. And of course, we've got our usual computer man, Anthony from FPV Builds. Thanks, guys, for hopping on the podcast. Thank you, Tim, for joining us.
Great. Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
To have you. It's
I've
one
been
of the
harassing Tim for a long time to get him on.
yeah,
A long time.
Yeah,
we were just talking about that before we started, and it's been a process to try and get you on board. So thank you. One of the things I really like about having guests that I don't know on the podcast is getting to learn more about you and what you guys do. I mean, you and Anthony are sort of in the same world, different from my RC end of things. So that's why we have this is to be able to talk and learn about different aspects. So welcome.
Yeah. Looking forward to it. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you.
So one of the reasons I wanted to get Tim on is I've bought from their store and I've always gotten great stuff from them. I like the way he runs his business. That's one of the reasons I've had it. Another reason is I was talking to Dale from Buddy RC.
Yeah.
And I was talking to him I think last year, and Dale was like, me, Tim, and Get FPV we're kind of like the grandfathers of the whole FPV.
That's
movement,
true,
right?
really, yeah.
and when you think about it, it is, right? You started in 2009 with your store?
Yeah, the store started in 2009, and back when it was still kind of mostly people hacking stuff together.
Yeah.
And
Right.
yeah, so one of the earliest, definitely one of the earliest, not the earliest, but one of the earliest FPV stores, maybe possibly the oldest one left because some of the originals just kind of faded a bit, but from the very first run of the people that were kind of doing it when the hacking things together days. So
Yeah.
So,
The height of it was what would you say, like 2015, 2016 was about the height of it?
I would say the FPV side of things peaked in like just the insanity of it, probably around 2015, 2016. It's funny because I always joked before, there's this kind of technology curve of, like things get real popular and then they fade off and then they kind of come back up to a steady state. And we saw that. I really did. 2015 was probably the peak. And for us, I would say 2021 was the trough and the worst. And then we've kind of come back up to kind of a steady state now. And it's evolved a lot, though. It's really changed a lot since the early days.
I think FPV, like the quadcopter part of it, and this is just from what I see, but it's funny because you kind of look at things through the eyes of where you are, but you don't really realize what's going on in the background. So, I transitioned a lot from quadcopters and stuff and FPV quadcopters and stuff like that to fixed wing.
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of where the hobby's going too, right? Because I feel like the FPV quadcopters aren't as popular as they were. Like, I don't know.
It's we see kind of, and I've seen it directly, with customers and stuff. So the early days was mostly fixed wing people, or some, like I came in just a little bit of RC experience, not much, and just got into the technology side. I have electrical engineering background, that right up my alley with the FPV stuff. And I think the early days were mostly the techie people, the people that were into the technology, and a lot of fixed wing. Multi-rotors really weren't much of a thing yet. And then when the multi-rotor stuff kicked in, that brought in a whole new group of people, kind of the ones that saw it as the excitement of that, the cool videos coming out and stuff. So we saw a huge surge of those people coming in that a lot of them had no RC experience whatsoever. Saw some cool videos, and came into it just for the multi-rotors and racing and stuff like that. And then we started to see them. People kind of, some of them will get bored with what they're doing. Everyone wants to try new stuff, and we started seeing some of them start to mess around with fixed wing, trying it out. But I think the new steady state is kind of a mix. I think we here have all kind of went through that a phase too. Everyone that works here pretty much started out flying more fixed wing initially, and then we kind of got into multi-rotor. And I think most of us now fly pretty much fixed wing all the time. Don't really do much multi-rotor. Just that may change in a few weeks. It's like the hobby, you just tend to this is interesting again. Let me mess with this again.
So when FPV first came out, so I guess when you first got involved in it, Was there anybody putting like quadcopters? Did they exist at that point in 2009? Like what
I
was
think
the FPV
so.
start?
So 2009, I think around that time, or maybe a year or two later, you started seeing like the Wii controllers, flight controllers and stuff. There was some stuff out there, the
Yeah.
KK boards, a few other things. So generic compared to what we have now. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of stuff had, you were turning potentiometers and stuff on the boards and stuff to set them. We saw more like tricopters and stuff. What is it? David from over in Europe, he worked with the flight test guys for a while as well.
Yeah.
Kind of doing this tricopter stuff. So it was real soon after that you started seeing multi-rotor stuff. And
Okay.
DJI came out with their, was it NASA? I think it was, whatever their flight controller was before they really started making ready to fly stuff. And it just started to evolve from that, and that's where you started to see, and again, it was initially people just kind of hacking stuff together, the Wii controllers and
Yeah.
stuff. And then you started companies, of course, start to realize they can make money off of it and started making actual products for it.
It's funny that you brought up DJI. A lot of people don't know that, but they started out, and it's amazing what they grew to. They started out doing helicopter flight controllers.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. It was regular helicopter, and then they had their little GPS and flight controller set up, and they had their the 330 quadcopter frame. It's just there's still generic ones out there now that maybe some schools are using stuff, but they started out just making parts.
They went to that flame wheel. That was
flame wheel. That was the one I was thinking of. Flame wheel. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like their first popular. It was like red and white. It was a quadcopter. Very, very generic, like he was saying.
We still sell a few of them, the generic ones now. Yeah, it's usually schools and stuff want to do a special project. Very few hobbyists are buying them, but yeah,
it's a great frame.
It gets the job done.
It gets the job done. And that's the thing with the quadcopters is you don't really. That's the whole thing that's aggravating me about this whole FCC thing and all these laws and stuff that are coming out. It's like the people who are making these rules are so misinformed because it's like you don't need hobby grade specific parts to make something like that fly.
Right.
There's, like you said, Wii controllers. What's to stop from going back to doing that and making quadcopters?
People will figure it out. If people want to do it,
exactly. It's like guns. Like you're not going to stop the ill intent just because you stop selling guns. Like
an opinion is that there was some influence from some people that have a lot of money in the traditional industry and just U.S. manufacturing industry that I think influenced some of these choices. They have been for a while. Yeah. We don't know that for sure, but it sure looks like it. It has for a long time, though. It's not a new thing. It's been going on since the remote ID times. The influence of some of these existing companies. So
yeah, no, it's. And I think it's unfortunate, like you said, because I think the people who are buying into it aren't educated and they're just going off of the information that they're being given. They're not.
Oh yeah, we've talked to agencies about things, and yeah, it's sometimes surprising how out of touch they are with the technology. Even government agencies that are maybe building stuff for testing for countermeasures and stuff like that, we'll get requests for things that are 10 years old and haven't even been around anymore. It's like, for probably haven't been around for 10 years, and it's like, hey, here's our list of items. Like,
they found it on some website somewhere when they were doing the Google search.
Somebody had a list, or they found a forum page, some old forum that, this is what I put together. It's like, that hasn't been available for 10 years. I don't know.
You were a part of that, right? You were a part of the whole lawsuit, right? With did you jump in on that with Tyler and
So we had talked to him about it. We didn't jump into the lawsuit. We kind of, it's tough. You look at this and we've seen it now. Different things happen multiple times over the years that we've kind of realized that throwing money at some of these things doesn't really do much. And so we've done our best to support, we've supported AMA when possible, to legislation or to go in, and they're kind of advocating for us, but no, we were part of the initial discussion. We didn't kick in anything at the time because we didn't really think it was going to help. So
I think that I don't think it was completely futile. I think that I think it helped because I think that their original version of remote ID was just unrealistic. And I think the attention with the protest and the lawsuit, I think that helped reel it in a little bit.
Definitely the as much the problem, as public outcry helps in general too. But the
Right.
problem is we are such a niche group, such a niche market that like some of the latest stuff going on, no one outside of the hobby has any clue. You see the news or anything talk about it, and they have no idea what it really, can or can't do. So, and honestly, even the government, I don't think does either. And we've evaluated, looked at some things related to that, and can't talk too deep about it. But the current
No, I
opinion,
agree.
we've had some legal, legal advisement on it, and for the most part, because of how some of it's written, we're okay. They're really targeting people building like the FCC Part 15 compliant drones that you'd be able to buy manufactured.
Right.
It
Like
appears,
DJI,
again, this is opinion. It's who knows what they're really targeting. But when you look deep into what they're trying to do and the wording of it, that seems to be what they're really trying to do. And whether that's trying to protect some companies that make drones already, maybe.
I'm just concerned about the gray areas.
Oh,
I'm always
The
concerned
gray-
about the gray areas and what room it leaves them for like the future. You're lucky you're in Canada, John. You don't have to deal with this stuff.
Oh yeah, hey, nice. Well, you guys have your
Well-
own set. I'm surprised you can even fly up there anymore. But
We definitely have our own list of issues, but
Yeah.
it's different. Yeah. So
yeah, it's and that's the scary thing is you can get an interpretation, and have an interpretation of what you think it all means, but they can interpret their rules how they want, and even if they're wrong, if they decide they wanted to come after you to fight it, it could be a devastating battle.
yeah,
so,
they're going to find something to come after
yeah.
you.
So if they want to come after you, they will
Oh,
find something.
yeah.
The sheer volume of rules that they can try to apply, and again, they can just interpret it their own way. We've already seen things related to interpretation, even regarding crazy stuff like the DOT stuff with driving, RVs and things like that to go to shows. We've gotten interpretations from the DOT that were different than what we read in the actual rules. So, it's just crazy. So, it's a worry for us because,
yeah, absolutely. Did you freeze? I think you froze.
Tim's frozen. It's too cold over there for you guys.
Hey, it's not any colder than where you are.
We're warm, man. We're 65 degrees this week.
No, get out of here.
Snow's
that possible?
gone. 65 degrees. It's beautiful out.
How is that possible?
Exactly.
There you
He's
go.
coming back.
there you are. Sorry, I lost you guys for a minute there.
All
so-
good.
John, we were just talking about John said he's probably frozen from the cold weather, and I'm like, I was like, it can't be any colder than Canada.
We're toasty warm.
It's
He said it's 65
Well, you
degrees.
guys-
How, it's like 20 degrees in New
We're
York.
having a-
How's it that freaking warm?
we're having a heat wave right now. We're up to 27 Fahrenheit. So I think we're supposed to go down to. We went below zero quite a few times here the past couple weeks in Ohio.
But
we're supposed to
seriously,
be- I
how
think-
is it? How are you that warm right now? That doesn't make any sense.
We're just, you know what? Our weather is pretty random. So where we're located here, south of Calgary or in Calgary, we're so
Okay.
close to the mountains that we get something called Chinooks. So it's the warm air coming over top from the coast. And like if you go 3 hours north of where I'm located, they still have 2 feet of snow on the ground and they're cold. So it's different.
It's gonna be 17 degrees here on Sunday. Like that's cold.
Jeepers.
Yeah,
It's going to
Yeah,
be
we're going-
almost 70 here tomorrow.
that's crazy.
We're supposed to go down to 5 tonight, and yeah,
Crazy.
So, yeah, so.
I was thinking,
Bad flying
sorry,
weather.
Anthony. I was thinking while we were just before you got cut off there that like you guys have your own stuff to deal with in the FPV world, and I feel like the turbine world, maybe not so much, but I feel like we kind of deal with our own list of issues that are same thing. Like we're almost the black sheep of the RC world as well too, and a lot of our stuff comes down to clubs, right? There's so many clubs that have banned turbine aircraft.
Yeah.
And they're so scary and they're going to just explode in the air and they're just
Right.
these missiles and stuff. And it's just the amount of fear mongering that's possible it's pretty wild. So we deal with our own list of of crazy. That's for sure.
It's usually people that just don't understand.
Yeah.
Don't understand it, and they see it and just think the worst.
Yeah.
And and then there we are. Rules get put in place that make it impossible to go out and go fly our toys, right?
Exactly.
So John, correct me about this, because I was actually just looking into this not too long ago. So as far as the FAA is concerned with flying turbines, it's the same as flying any unmanned. There's no specific category, but the AMA is the one that you have to get the certification through. Yeah,
there's basically three categories in the US for turbine aircraft. So under 55 pounds, you're just good to go. 55 pounds to, I don't know the exact number, it might be 75. Don't quote me on that. It's LTMA, I think 1. And then the next category is LTMA 2. So there are steps to get your aircraft qualified for that. But our bigger issue, and this affects me personally, is clubs. So, for example, I belong to a club in Montana. It's about 5 hours south of me. Obviously, U.S. club. We drive down there to go flying every once in a while. And last year, they had a not official vote to ban turbine aircraft at that club. And I'll say our club because I'm part of the club. And it didn't go through. It was like a 50-50 split. And then this year, the president actually did an official vote. We had to mail in our ballots, and the actual counting of the ballots happened a week ago. And fortunately, I actually thought he was going to win this because he sent out this great email that was full of fear and devastation and how the world's going to burn to a crisp if we fly turbine aircraft at this club. And the members, we got the majority, and the members voted to keep turbine aircraft. And there's not a lot of turbine flyers at the club, which is another thing. Like there's 5 of us that are not local, and I think a handful of guys that are local, and there's only 30 something members in the club. But it's in beautiful Montana. It's paved runway, beautiful facility. I know the guys that 20, 30, 40 years ago made the club and got the runway paved and installed and all that stuff. So that's what we deal with more, is the club end of things. And even locally here in Canada, the actual closest club to me is maybe 20 minutes south. There's no turbine aircraft flying allowed. The one that I belong to, that's a little bit north of me, about 30 minutes north. There's a few of us that fly turbines, but it's always we're the black sheep and nobody likes us. If you fly a foamy, you're in the foamy club, and everybody's happy. And if you guys can't tell, I'm pretty open and honest when I talk about this stuff. I don't sugarcoat any of this because I don't care about people's feelings when it comes to clubs and politics. Yeah. And then the club that I actually do most of my flying at is 2 hours north. So I drive 2 hours north, spend the day flying, and drive 2 hours back home just to not deal with the politics. We're mostly turbine members at that club. We're close to a highway. We have a blast. We go there. We just have fun flying, and everybody's safe, and everything goes well. So it's we burn the grass, and the grass grows back greener than it ever was. So
I was looking at it because, like I said, I have an Avanti, and I'm thinking about putting a small turbine in. And I was diving down the rabbit hole, and I'm like, well, according to like the FAA's rules, there's nothing really stopping me from putting a turbine in that.
Exactly.
It's just they kind of lumped everything together. Yeah.
Right. But what happens if we have an abandoned runway that we can fly here that you can use when it's not in season, being used for drag racing and stuff like that? Mm-hmm. What happens if the AMA catches me flying a turbine without my waiver? What happens to me? Right. Like
if you go out there and you're by yourself, I mean, you should have a spotter, you should have your waiver. But if you go out there by yourself and you fly your plane, and nobody knows, whatever.
Based on the FAA side of things, you just are supposed to be following the set of rules,
for an unmanned aircraft.
And I feel that they're not likely to do anything unless you were causing problems.
Right.
I could be wrong about that, but it seems like, though they put a lot of those rules in place so that they can use them if they need to. If someone does something that gets public attention, then they can make use of the rules they have in place.
Like that Philly drone life dude that got hammered.
Jeez.
I don't know anything about that.
Oh, you can dive down the rabbit hole afterwards.
Oh no.
he was flying like a Mavic type drone, and
Mhm.
he was just flying it close to buildings, close to the airport, and he got a warning from the
Oh.
FAA, and then he was posting everything to YouTube.
Right.
And he got a warning from the FAA. They saw his videos, said, dude, you gotta stop. Sent him another warning, still was doing it. So then, like, they came at him and fined him like $180,000.
Oh.
There's no way, they knew there was no way he was gonna pay that. So
Yeah.
what they did was they banned him from ever flying a drone. Like, if this dude flies a drone, he's gonna get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
And they made him get rid of his YouTube channel. So he got rid of his, he lost everything.
Wow.
His channel lost, they basically threw the book at him. But they fined him $180,000 total. Like, he was on video flying in places that you like, flying over people, flying next to buildings, flying over stadiums, flying next to the airport, like everything you're not supposed to do.
Yeah.
He was posting it on YouTube, like straight up evidence of him doing it.
Oh yeah.
And they just kept watching. They weren't going to leave him alone, and he didn't stop. And they threw the book at him.
Well,
So yeah, to Tim's point,
Kind of in their
agree.
face with it. He was in your face with it, and he kind of brought it on himself. It's
exactly.
yeah, and that the early days of FPV, the rules weren't really clear enough, and there was a lot of crazy stuff going on like that for a long time, and it scared the hell out of the FAA, and but they didn't even know how to deal with it back then, and again, I think that sometimes even this newer thing with the FCC, they came out with something and then they kind of revised it in a second release that was maybe not quite as firm, and it left more room for exceptions. But the biggest problem, honestly, we see is the uncertainty. What is it that's okay? What isn't okay? It's not clear, 100% clear, and you feel like you're kind of at risk. You're trying to do the best you can to make sure you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, but yet, somebody going to look at you and say it's totally wrong, and now we're going to put the hammer down.
So last week I was down in the U.S. We were driving to middle U.S. and then coming home, and I brought my DJI FPV drone with me. And it's funny the way you say that, because so while we're driving, it's beautiful weather and everything. We're like, well, me and my buddy that was with me, we got out and we stopped in this little town, and totally allowed to fly there. We were in this field and all that stuff. Like, it was just totally legit. And I still felt that I was doing something wrong, right? Because I'm not in an RC field, and like, this is kind of odd. And I honestly felt like a criminal. It was a bit of a weird feeling. And I don't know if I'll ever get rid of that, but maybe if I'm flying at the RC field, it'll be different. But
and I think an example of that too is like, so all of us here have 107 because of really everything we do RC wise could be considered for the business, just because if we video it and stuff. Well, there's an airport right beside us, literally right beside us. And, one of my guys has a full on pilot certificate. So he just has the 107 add on to that. But my guys don't want to fly here, even though the type of airport it is, technically by the rules we can.
Yeah.
But I understand why they don't want to, because if for some reason a pilot was flying by, even if we were flying down by the buildings here, which we wouldn't go up, if they looked down, oh, there's an RC plane there, and they deviated, even though we're in the right, that could cause a firestorm. And, it's like, technically we're following the rules, all the rules are there, but, you're always kind of worried now. It kind of sucks that, it's to test a small plane that, where we're barely going over the rooftop here, and we're completely away from these other, we're beside the runway. We're not going to impede, but, you in the back of your mind, you're like, well, what if, even though we're doing everything right. So, it's just, it's that's a frustrating thing, but, it's nice to be able to go to, for us, I don't get to fly much now that I have the business. It's when we go to events, basically, is my chance to fly.
Yeah.
And it's, at least those tend to be more relaxed, especially since I'm flying in the evenings normally, since we're running a store during the day.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you just kind of go out and have fun, because that's why pretty much all of us got into this at some point, is to go out and have some fun, not worry about that kind of crap.
So let's talk about that real quick. What do I saw you were flying your Strix Stratosurfer at NEAT. which Strix is your brand, right?
Yeah, Strix is our house brand. Yeah, we added that on partially just because other companies, if they want to sell products, they prefer to not have a competitor's brand name on it. So just Strix is just more of a generic, but it's our brand. Yeah,
it's your brand, right?
Yeah.
What do you like flying? Like if you had like a weekend that you could just go out and fly. What's your favorite plane?
At the moment, I'm still McTwist. There's been the most fun I've had flying in a long time, and I'll just go out and it's just a blast to fly. It's I think I have a picture on the wall back there. Yeah, with the LEDs on it.
Yeah.
So again, we wind up flying a lot more at night, but even in the day, it's a blast. It's just real simple. It looks so plain, but it's just so much fun, with the differential thrust and stuff. And you can fly high alpha really low to the ground. You can go up and buzz around and do spinny, crazy stuff with it. So I rarely fly FPV anymore just because of if I'm flying at events, you're a little riskier to fly at events anyway. And it's just more setup whenever you don't have a lot of time to fly. Sometimes it's easier to just grab a plane, go throw it out, and fly line of sight. I was flying FPV at Neat Fair though with the walk snail stuff and the pan and tilt on the Stratosurfer. But
yeah, I saw.
Yeah, but
I'm gonna take a picture of the McTwister real quick off of your site.
Oh yeah, awesome. That's probably my go-to if I just want to go out and have some fun. We have a new plane. It's funny. We have a plane that we have live on the site. Yeah, there's Kevin's son. And it's flying the plane. It looks fine. It's just delta triangle. Pretty simple. But flying it is a whole different experience. And people when they see it and actually fly it, it's a plane that sells itself. Like Neat Fair, not this past year, but the year before. We went down, we're hanging out with some guys, let a few guys fly it. They're like, can we buy one now? We walked all the way up to our tent, went back out. About 5 more guys got to fly it. And they're like, can we buy those now? It's one of those planes. It's just, it looks great. It looks fine. There's nothing special about it, but flying it is a whole different experience. It's really hard.
It lights up nice. It lights up nice at night.
Yeah. For night flying or, especially now with the Cobb LED.
Is that hot wire cut or is that molded?
So this plane is all flat foam. It's all flat laser cut. Our manufacturer actually can cut the elevons and everything with the laser. So it's kind of crazy, really, how precise. Because usually you think foam is a little bit non-uniform in density. So they're ridiculously accurate with for the elevons and stuff. So this one is all laser cut. Flat foam and everything comes pre-made. Now, we're out of stock right now, but that's because our next batch is on the way. We have a container literally on the way right now. Awesome. And it's going to be a V2, a couple little minor modifications. We actually added the option to put an extra piece on the bottom so you can do touch and goes as it is in the original version. If you hit the ground, you have to go
so out. So the props don't strike.
That's really the only significant change to it is that being able to, and it's an option. You don't have to use it either. It's just some pieces that'll.
So it's got differential thrust. So it's got, that's pretty cool. So it's an Elevon setup with differential thrust. That's got to be a
Check out videos of it. Definitely, and that's the old LEDs. Actually, the new Cobb LEDs look absolutely amazing. If we don't have a picture on the product, which we need to, if you search just for the Knock to a Glow LED package for it. It shows some better pictures of it's actually should be linked on the right. Yeah, it's linked on the right side there too. If you see it on the.
There we go, right here.
$54. That's it. You guys should be.
That's the old setup. We need to get that off of there because that's the old LED setup.
So
it's fine. You can still get it. Cobb LEDs are brighter, and then they're the solid lines. I thought we had that linked on the right.
Let me see if I can just pull this.
Just the Cobb LED.
There we go.
Well, there's the lights, but we have an actual kit for it as well. Cool. And there's some pictures of it on there with the.
Oh, nice.
It's a more uniform light. I see.
Yeah, they're brighter too.
You don't see the actual LEDs as much.
They're smaller, brighter, easy to, more flexible.
Listen, I gotta say, a lot of people love your planes. The Goblin, right? That's the Nano Goblin?
So
right?
search on the site. So it's funny because this is almost like an announcement because we haven't officially. So search EPP space Goblin. So it's live but we haven't announced it because we haven't had a chance to make a good video of it. So
Oh, so you took the Goblin and made it out of
the
PVC.
weather turned to garbage, and we got the final samples, and we realized, or we got the actual planes. We realized we didn't have any good demo videos, so we haven't done any official like broadcast announcement of the plane. It's available.
That's
So
pretty cool.
this one is a mix of hot wire cut wings
Right.
and flat foam sections for the fuselage.
Huh.
So it's kind of a mix, and
And these are all LEDs.
yeah, and you can add LEDs to this one as well. So it's been a kind of our new design thing since we've been going to so many events that we want planes that are coming really easy to build,
Right.
that you can basically buy at an event, throw it together in an hour, maybe two, depending on the plane, have LEDs if you want to fly at night, basically everything right there. And these hot wire and flat foam planes are a little less investment upfront for us than the molded planes. You know, the
Yeah.
Right.
molded planes take a massive amount of investment at the beginning to get them going. You know, molds and so forth. And
Yeah.
we can also do smaller batches of these planes versus potentially maybe 100 of
I see
these
how
versus
the
500 or 1,000.
fuselage-
Yeah,
I see the
it's
fuselage.
actually a stack of layered.
It's built in layers, which is pretty cool. I
Yeah,
see that. That's awesome.
yeah.
It's smart.
So easy to put together. Like I said, it's there and live, but we were going to make a big deal out of it once we got some weather that we could actually make some decent videos to show how well it flies. So we've been flying them at a few events, when we were doing prototypes last year. Yeah, I would say if you've flown the regular full size Goblin, it's not that fast, but it's faster than the Nano Goblin, which is smaller and kind of more floaty.
You
So
could definitely see the difference in the Cobb LEDs, by the way, on
oh
this
yeah,
one compared to the
Yeah.
last one. It's a
yeah,
much
they're
more light.
they're uniform and they're bright. Yeah, they
It
really
looks like a shark fin almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one does. Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
It's got like a shark fin to it. It's
Yeah.
cool. But
flies
the
great.
Goblin itself, I mean, I know you're constantly sold out of the Goblin. Like that's
Yeah, the full size Goblin, the Nano Goblin is probably still our biggest seller when it comes to planes, and it just constantly is moving.
yeah.
Because it's good all around plane. It's tiny, easily under 250 grams, even loaded up with FPV equipment.
Wow.
Flies great slow, flies great, fast. The full size Goblin is a fast plane. We are actually almost out of that. We're getting ready to do kind of a refresh on that design. It's just search Goblin.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say Goblin.
We're down to the last few. So if you want a Goblin as they are, it's not. There it goes. Now's the time to get it because what we've got left is it until the next version will probably
So
be.
this one, the fuselage is molded plastic, right? It's
Yes, yeah, molded fuselage, blow molded fuselage, which is a massive amount of space inside.
Hmm.
It's tons of durability as well.
right.
We probably will do foam on the next one just because it's a little bit easier to do the wing mounting to it and so forth for durability, especially a plane that's that fast. The plane is durable, but the wings mounted to the fuselage are something that you probably want to reinforce if you're really going to be tearing it up. That one with the fast package that we sell, the high performance package, is probably 110, 120 mile an hour level flight. Then obviously faster in a dive. We had a competition a few years ago that kind of let people for this and the smaller Goblin, people could either go for speed, distance, and they just fly in circles for distance, or time. And then the speed record on this plane is a gentleman in I think it was UK. I think it was 256 miles an hour.
Oh,
Wow.
He modified it. He glassed it and had put a larger motor on the
I
back.
can imagine.
But like the duration, I can't even remember now. It's
Well, it fits
It's
a ton of
crazy.
battery. The way the fuselage is designed, it fits a ton of battery. So
yeah, and it's really,
Size-
really clean. Like you can be flying like 2 or 3 amps, and it just keeps going because it's very, very low drag on the design.
and when I need to look up videos, but when this thing's ripping, is it screaming like it's just going me?
oh yeah,
pretty
Yeah.
loud, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a fun plane to fly.
that's
Cool.
that's the one thing I love about flying I have one or two of the flat like race style FPV wings.
Yep.
There's so much when you blow past you, like it sounds like a motorcycle going by, John. It's just
Oh
like,
yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Doppler effect and everything.
they're
Yeah.
so much fun. They really are so much fun. They're a blast.
Oh,
That
nice.
never really took off. You know, I was surprised that never really took off. But like the FPV wing racing never really got as popular as like the quad
It's really
racing.
hard to organize. You know, there's guys that have done it. You know, we were up at Feet Meet just a couple weeks after Meat Fair up in New York as well. And those are kind of the guys that have been doing wing flying racing and stuff for years. And there have been groups that have gotten together, and it kind of did okay, but it's just a difficult spectator sport. It's better than honestly, I think it's better than drones for a spectator because you can at least see the wings.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, it just never fully took off. There's still guys doing it. There's still some groups out doing it, but yeah, it did take off the same. Yeah, I was just looking. The longest distance flight on the Goblin was 93.5 miles, single flight. 256.6 miles per hour for the speed,
Wow.
3 miles.
and
That's what-
142 minutes for the flight time for the record. Now the Nano Goblin, that one is actually so the record for the flight time, 215 minutes. And this is a tiny, less than 250 gram plane. It's
Yeah.
just that efficient. And the
It's
speed,
super
I still know how they did this. The speed, someone got 196 miles an hour out of that little light thing.
Out of the
Wow.
Nano.
Yes.
Wow.
We have links on our site where it takes you to the videos that they submitted. So
Yeah.
It's funny. I've been watching a bunch of. So there's a quadcopter guy, the family on YouTube, father and son, that did the record for the fastest.
yes, yeah.
But then some dude from I think Australia or Austria or New Zealand, a dude from New Zealand broke
Yeah.
that, and then they re-broke it again. They're talking like 400 and something miles
That's
per hour
crazy.
on the quadcopter, right? But there's also John. I forgot to talk. I want to talk to you about this a couple of episodes ago. I saw something on YouTube, but I'll have to go back there and pull it up. They're trying to do like the fastest turbine jet. What
Yeah.
is the fastest turbine jet right now?
I think if you Google it, I actually Googled it not too long ago, but if you Google it, I think the record's been set. I think it was David Gladwin, maybe that was part of that. I'm just throwing out names there. I think that's who it was. I think it's about 360 miles an hour, but I know there's been guys that have gone faster, but it hasn't been
Official,
officially like a world record type thing.
right?
And we actually run into issues like in Canada, for example, we have no speed limits, but we're not allowed to set speed records.
Such bullshit.
So we can't we couldn't have Guinness Book of World Records out here and set a speed record officially.
It's like
Everyone just
there's
kind of
no
winks.
speed limit, but
Yeah.
you can't track it. Like, come on.
So yeah, and
It's
I
so
mean
ridiculous.
unofficially here, like we've had an Ultra Flash with a GPS sensor in there. Obviously GPS isn't as accurate. Get close to upper 400 kilometers an hour. So that'd be divided by 1.6. So if we just said 500 kilometers an hour divided by 1.6, so you're 312. Yeah. So like, low threes, mid threes is really stinking fast.
I'm surprised by that because I would think that with some of those bigger jets with the twin turbines and the big turbines that.
Yeah. The problem is I won't say where, but a Super Bandit that I built, a couple of years ago, it had a massive engine in it, small little plane, like under 2 meter plane, built like an arrow. And it hit, I think it was, and he wasn't even trying to go fast. I think it was like 328,
Wow.
somewhere in that range. So, if you want to go faster, the problem is, like if you put an engine that was 50% bigger, you might only get 20 miles an hour faster, right? It's not this linear curve that keeps going up. So,
And
yeah, we are.
the limit of your power system, turbine or prop. I mean, at the speed it can spin, there's a limit
Yeah.
to how fast the air is going to flow through, and and you get drag and everything else from just the engine intake, and
Yeah,
It's
unofficially, I think I'm able to share the topic, but I can't share any details. But I am working with the company to try and hit 400 knots, so 440 miles an hour, with a turbine aircraft. And
Not in Canada though. You're not measuring that.
not in the world. We're actually going to do it on the moon. But yeah, so it's going to be an interesting one. And the problem when you get to speeds like that is you just have to think about so many different factors. Like you think about like where the wing joins the fuselage, right? Like if you have a gap in there, any air gets in there. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one if it goes through. We're kind of in planning phase right now. So, but again, you've got an engine that. So, for example, we were the fuselage that we're thinking about. You might put for a crazy big engine, like for 3D flying and stuff, you might put a 500 Newton engine in this plane, and we're thinking about doing double or bigger. So when you go to that big, there's so many factors, right? Fuel, size, space, wind resistance. So yeah, there's a lot of different things in play.
That's gonna be cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
I'm sure you're not gonna be able to like film it or anything, right?
No, it's all hush hush and stuff. So
that sucks.
But it'll be a fun project to be part of if it goes through. So
Tim,
I was just going to say there was some company that I think they did RC stuff before, but just released a interceptor. Was it over in Europe? Jet turbine powered. Crazy speeds. Basically like a low cost weapon, but I believe some hobby guys. So, it's just crazy to see some of that stuff that's coming out now. So
yeah, there's so much of it out there. People don't know anything about it all. Like, and it's not published anywhere. So it's pretty wild though when you actually.
I'd love to be
part of it.
On the side of getting to test all that stuff and just building the whole shit. You know what I mean? Like,
well, the funny that you mentioned that, but man, so many people that were either friends or customers or just people we knew that were hobbyists way back in the earliest of days.
Mm-hmm.
We know now so many of them now work for companies doing testing, and it's of the earliest hobbyists. I would say it feels, and it's probably not this much, but it feels like half of them now work in the industry, in some way. And a lot of it's just test pilots, going out and countermeasures testing.
I mean,
and stuff
if you
like
look at the whole Ukraine thing, they were strapping grenades and stuff to hobbyist built drones, and that's what's helped them survive. So the hobbyists, we sometimes know more than the guys that are on those defense.
Well, that's absolutely true. And again, we've seen, we work with different companies for a lot of this testing stuff, and some of them, the ones that know what they're doing almost always have hobbyists on their team. Guys that had been customers or just hobbyists for years. The ones that don't know are the guys that just hired some random engineers and said, we want to do the X, Y, Z. And, they come into it without, there's a certain thing about when you like what you're working on, you're more likely to learn about it and get into it and stuff. And these guys, they may like it eventually, but they didn't, it's not what they did as a hobby. So, they're learning from scratch, and some of them pick it up and eventually figure it out. But we get some requests sometimes. It's like, where are you coming from with this? Come on.
It's a cool time right now because a lot of that stuff will trickle down eventually to hobbyist stuff too.
Oh,
yeah.
Honestly, now, a lot of stuff now that we have as hobby products, you'll get requests for things that it's just like, well, let's just make it a product, because other people are going to want to use it too. So, definitely the dual use aspect is interesting. This is past couple of years has been strange.
It's really bad. It's kind of good because, a small country like Ukraine's able to defend themselves and stuff like that. It's bad because us as hobbyists are now getting all this extra regulation.
Well, it gets attention. Trust me, it gets the attention of, they're very concerned about big sporting events and stuff coming up. We've talked to people that are asking us questions about that because, they're worried about it.
Right.
What we've typically seen in government agencies is they usually don't know anything about it, but it seems like some of the people we've talked to more recently know a little bit more. They weren't hobbyists, but they at least understand it.
I think they had to go out and find more information. They were woefully unprepared for what was going on.
and they see what's going on in Ukraine,
Right,
and it scares the hell out of them. You know,
It
Mhm.
sucks.
I understand.
It's really tough. I get it too. Listen,
Yeah.
I understand it, and my biggest thing with it is there, and I understand the dual use part of it, but there does need to be a separation in the regulations for hobbyist and commercial. Like that's
Agreed.
the biggest thing for me. Like there has to be a drawn line, and maybe you make it if it's really that big of a security issue in the future. Then maybe you make it to where you have to be in a club, and I don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
It's really tough, right? I mean, it's like,
It
the already
is
really
because-
pushed a lot of rules on us, and it
But
becomes,
an RC car could become an issue. Like they've used those as rovers and strapped cameras on them, and you can
I
so-
know for a fact that they're being used for stuff like that. You know, we've
right.
had,
So it's
yeah,
not
yeah.
the stuff that flies,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's the stuff that's on the ground too. So it's like, what are you going to ban
We,
everything?
when we get a request from a contractor that says, "Do you have any RC trucks that can carry about 50 pounds?" um, it's like, well, and we're going to ship it to Europe. I'm like,
Yeah. And they use the word payload. Can it carry
yes,
a
that
payload?
happens a lot. Yeah,
Payload.
yeah.
Tim.
Yeah.
I know we're all kind of busy and we kind of have to wrap up today.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're not going to wrap up yet, but one of the things I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
Where do you see you've been in this for a long time as a hobbyist and as now as a business owner, right?
Right.
Where do you see the hobby going still positively forward? I feel like right now we're kind of in a upward trajectory where there's a bunch of people coming into the hobby. Social media is kind of helping it out. Or do you see it?
It's tough to know because
Are you
again, because when you say the hobby, it covers so many areas, you know, and we definitely have seen this going to Null versus going to, SEF or Neat Fair, the smaller, and even some smaller events where people are doing, like the Flight Fest and stuff like that, such different aspects of the hobby,
Right.
I still think we're going to see growth. I think it's going to be maybe more in the fixed wing arena, but I think it's across the board. It ebbs and flows. Again, just interest. What catches people's attention.
Mhm.
We kind of talked about this beforehand. How this huge rush of or early on the huge rush around 2015 because people saw videos of the cool drones flying, and that could happen again. We might see another wave. I know we have a ton of kids doing STEM programs with drones.
Yeah.
They might wind up wanting to fly bigger stuff. Some of it depends on regulation and how that changes over the years. I think we're going to still see growth for sure.
That's my biggest concern is the regulation part of it. The not being able to just I sometimes fly if I have time. There's a school that my kids go to that's not too far away from me, and it's got a decent sized field. If I have an hour or two on a Sunday, I'll try to just shoot over there and fly a couple packs.
And the tightening of the rules,
you know what I mean?
Not only do you have the worry of people just worried about what we're doing when you're flying yourself and if you're following the rules, but the getting the equipment and stuff. At least quite a few of the companies, some of them making things here in the U.S. are keeping the prices pretty reasonable, surprisingly better than I expected. At least for things like flight controllers and
Right.
that. It is really expensive to make full-size plane, the actual RC planes and stuff here in the U.S.
Mhm.
We've wanted to for a long time. The molding and so forth is just crazy. People wouldn't pay it. But another thing we're seeing restriction-wise right now, and this might change when eventually Ukraine is done, is we're seeing China tightening what they're allowing companies to ship.
Yep.
You see some companies that Maytech's not shipping anything right now.
Yep.
Speedy Bee is not shipping anything outside of China right now. By the way, we just got a bunch of Speedy Bee stuff in, but we've had a few companies that have just gotten shut down that we buy stuff from. So that can affect the supply chain, but in the end, I think that works itself out. If the demand
everything's stayed there, right? Even
Yeah.
Horizon makes their radios. Everybody makes their radios and everything there.
So you have Futaba has moved pretty much everything now to Taiwan. They were mixed, partially Taiwan, partially China, but they moved everything now to Taiwan. Obviously Radio Master and FR Sky and stuff is China. Spectrum is China, I think. But I think the demand for, especially for government related stuff of US or at least ally made stuff is going to help keep that kind of spread out a little bit. Futaba radios are crazy expensive and not really what most, well, depends which part of the hobby. It's like for the small RC flying small drones and foamies, normally not using Futaba, but you see a lot of guys flying bigger stuff that are still using Futaba. So good radios, just expensive.
Right.
But again, that's different parts of the hobby, because you got some people that were like, I would never spend that money on a radio, and then you got other guys who are like, I would never buy one of those cheap radios. I want to,
Exactly.
Well, I mean, John's flying Jetty and those things.
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I do think we're growth. I really, unfortunately, think
so you have a positive outlook, is what I'm saying. Okay.
And I don't think it's for everyone, unfortunately. I mean, we have seen people in our industry that have shut down recently. I think it's just, and we've seen there's only one brick and mortar hobby shop in the whole Columbus area that I'm aware of right now.
Wow.
And there used to be multiple. Just literally just yesterday, I was talking to a guy that used to own one of the hobby lands, and and he's now we do customer pickup, but we don't have a showroom. So people can still buy here, but we're not full blown. We don't do everything. We don't do cars.
Right.
And, we get them, but we don't do them. But you mentioned Dale from Buddy RC earlier. I don't think it was before we started this, but yeah, he's around the corner. We work with him all the time.
He was telling me how much he felt had changed as well. Like, I got to talk to him for a little bit last year at Toledo. Very nice guy.
Oh, great guy. We work with him all the time. Yeah. And they do a lot of wholesale, so they see, and they've taken over some of the distribution for some older companies that used to do for hobby stores. And I think they've seen a huge hit for hobby stores. That really, the local hobby stores, it's hard to imagine, at least how they used to be, that they're still going to exist. A lot of them now go to other non-RC related hobbies, and maybe carry some RC stuff.
You've seen them carry more like Gundam kids and Pokemon and Legos.
Literally, the guy I was talking to yesterday, that was a big part of what was actually selling for them.
Was Legos, right?
Unique, the niche stuff. So I think that's going to shift around. Brands might shift around. There's rumors that certain larger companies are having financial problems, but it's not going to go away. It's just going to shift if they have problems. So, I do think that there's going to be more made in outside of China and made in the U.S. and other countries, just out of necessity. But again, things like planes, I still haven't. If anyone knows any companies that can, mold some foam planes and not cost us 10 times as much as China.
I dove down that rabbit hole. I spent about 6 months looking and talking to different people, and it's crazy. You can't beat the Chinese.
People wouldn't talk to us.
I talked to molds. I talked to companies about molds, and I talked to people. I talked to companies down in South America, Mexico.
That might be some options, is going outside of China. But the problem is you need, especially with the better foams, EPO and EPP, you need experience, because they're not super easy to mold. And but even in China, the cost to get a plane going is crazy. And just for reference, a plane right now like the Stratosurfer would just to get it molds made and so forth is probably 15,000 to maybe close to 20 now.
Wow.
Might be. So that's why these hot wire cut and flat foam cut are a better option for us to come out with some planes. We don't have to. It's a huge risk. What if a plane doesn't sell? And you drop 20 grand on it, and it happens. People will decide they do or don't like something. But we work with we still have some potential upcoming molded planes. We still have some ideas, and we work with other companies. We work with TBS pretty closely. We have an ocean container on the way to us right now that has a new TBS. I don't think they've announced it. It's just a variation, but a new TBS plane that we're going to stock for some here, and some bunch of our planes, molded planes, another brand that I won't mention until we get them that we've been trying to buy in the U.S. and couldn't, but now we got some from China directly. So some good quality foam planes that we've seen a lot of the events and stuff. So
is Trappy's out of China, right? With TBS, like
he's out of Hong Kong, but he travels around a lot, and he's part of Triumph Manufacturing that's making manufacturing stuff here in the U.S. It's kind of a partnership between him and VAS, Video Aero Systems that has made antennas for years.
Right.
A lot of really good TBS branded and or related stuff, but actually made here in the U.S. And they're turning out some good stuff. So
when are you going to be announcing that company that you were just talking about? You're getting some of those foamy airplanes in
when the container shows up. Probably be. We just looked at it. It's supposed to show up. Get it probably mid-March.
Time for Toledo.
Oh yeah. It's going to be. Yeah, it should. Let's see. The container is supposed to get in Virginia mid-March. So yeah, it would probably be around the end of March. So yeah, about a week or two before Toledo. So
yeah. So Tim will be at the Toledo show, right? And then
yep.
Where are you after that?
So event-wise, we've been really trying to. One of the things I like about events is I get to fly because I don't get to fly otherwise. It seems like. But we also get to actually hang out with people and stuff. So I feel like it could be a little bit more relationship with everybody, instead of just being some company that you heard about. Let's see. So we have Toledo. 2 weeks later, we have CEF. That's in April. So down in Georgia. We're probably going to Null. We may not be there the whole time. That's in early May. I don't know about Flight Fest this year. Last year we didn't make it because they didn't get things arranged. There's a smaller event in West Virginia called Wally Squadron. It's in August. Still, I think it's like 150 pilots, still decent size. And then Meat Fair, which is in September. Hayfie is the one other one I don't have in my calendar. Oh yeah, we do. No, we don't. I think that's in October, if I'm right. So trying to hit quite a few. I usually go to all of them, and then one of the other guys will go with me as well. So kind of swap off with it. So, a lot of traveling, but it's fun.
Yeah, it's a good time.
It's your fun time. You get to fly.
It really is. It's like I said, we'll work and run the store, maybe fly during the day, but not a lot. But yeah, then in the night, I think that's why we like so many night flyers where we've done a lot of stuff with the Cobb LEDs because that's our time to go out and have some fun. So
yeah, exactly.
A little more casual flying then too. So
yeah.
So Tim, I wanted to thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for having
me. It's awesome seeing you at the shows and stuff too. So
yeah,
thanks.
Yeah, great talking with you guys.
Yeah,
you as well.
Good luck too.
Yep.
Interested to see all that new exciting stuff coming out.
Yep. Keep your eyes on it. We'll be posting.
We'll do.
Awesome. Thanks, Tim. Thanks, Anthony.
See you guys later. All right. Bye-bye.
Take care.